Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jasmine. I lead the creative agency trusted by hundreds of female founders that have generated collectively over $50 million in revenue. Today, I want to share with you how you can start creating better content, more creative content without feeling like you're staring at a blank screen. If you don't know what to talk about, when to talk about it, how to make it more creative, how to make it stand out for you, this is what we're discussing today. Every single influencer, content creator, coach, business owner goes through a moment where they feel like their brain is empty. They're out of content ideas. You're not necessarily setting yourself up for success either when you're staring at a blank screen, Canva post, and just deciding what is it that I'm going to create. So here's the formula that I'm going to share with you to make sure that your content, number one, is consistently creative and fresh. It's also aligned with the current trends, what people are talking about in your industry. Number two, making sure that they're actually things that your audience is not only going to see and swipe through, but actually engage with and ultimately lead them to where that you want them to go, whether it's sales or opt-ins or even just engagement. Number three, they focus on helping you build your brand community and creating that relationship with your audience so that they not only trust to buy from you once, but they become a loyal part of your brand so that they can buy from you over and over again. The truth is, everyone deals with creative blocks, even the pros. And so it's really important that you're setting yourself up for success, not just 1 month at a time, but for you to be consistent, especially if this is something that's going to be consistently helping your creator career or driving further revenue into your business as a female founder. So what you need to make sure you have that creative direction every time you sit down and create content is three main things. Number one, you need a content calendar that actually works for you. I have a whole separate video about how to create a calendar that's not based off of another creator's template. It's not based off of a platform that you don't even work with. It works for your brain, your energy, your content style, and the method that you need. So that when you sit down, you don't have to wonder, when am I posting this next? When am I doing this next? All of the decision fatigue is kind of taken out of that process. Number two, you need a content strategy. One of the easiest ways for you to figure out what your content strategy looks like is by ideating your signature four. Your signature four is my method in helping you figure out what your content categories are so that you're not necessarily creating content based on what everyone else in your niche or in your industry are doing. And at the same time, you're not necessarily doing something that's super specific that works for 1 month or one campaign, but then doesn't make sense for the rest of your content timeline. So again, your signature four are brand specific content categories that allow you to stand out, not be generic, and continue to be creative whenever you sit down and start thinking about those content ideas that you want to put out. So here's how to actually build your signature four. Number one, I want you to think about your core expertise. What is the thing that you're going to be consistently hired for? So ask yourself, what is this non-negotiable that my brand is built on? What is the reputation that I want to create when it comes to this zone of genius? So for example, for me, that looks like campaign marketing. And stick with me till the end because this is how I'm going to share how to make sure that your signature four isn't something basic, something that someone already has, and they're the right amount of creative to make the content creation process easier for you. The next thing you want to focus on as part of your signature four is, what is your differentiator? What is the thing that truly sets you apart? I want you to think about, what are your philosophies? What are your frameworks? What is the method in which you approach something that makes you stand out? That is going to be the second part. The third part is kind of adding like a personal touch, personal dimension into it. And it's really thinking about the human side of your brand. So thinking about, what personal lens, what lifestyle, what identity do I bring into my body of work? For example, for me, this looks like aesthetic lifestyle. And when I create content for my agency, I'm not necessarily super personal or open about a lot of things, but I do share kind of that human part of the brand, of me as a founder, when it comes to my lifestyle. And I even have this philosophy called daily luxuries, where I focus on doing little things throughout the day to make sure that I'm setting myself up to feel luxurious every day in the best way that I know how. And that quickly became something that my audience resonated with. Part of that also looks like figuring out decor in my office, decor for my home, styling, just again, all these little pockets of aesthetic lifestyle fall into that for me and what works for my brand. And the fourth part is a journey or process focus. So thinking about, what do you want to document and share in real time with your community? This isn't necessarily a series that you can focus on for 1 month or 1 quarter and forget about, but in general, as part of your brand, what are you consistently documenting and sharing with your audience? Ask yourself, what do people want to watch me build, create? What do they want to stay in touch with? What do they want me to see achieve alongside of them? So obviously part of what this looks like for me is agency building, my decision making behind each campaign, the behind the scenes, changing my services around, focusing on things with the team, focusing on myself and my schedule and my calendar. And when it comes to deciding the split between these 4 categories, you can make them an even split, or you can decide what leading category you want to focus on. For me, that's campaign marketing. I think your expertise-based category is a great one to lead with, and decide what the math looks like for all the other categories based on what you want to share the most. So for example, for me, my aesthetic lifestyle kind of category is the one I probably want to share the least of. So that's only about 10% of my content. And then I do the math for everything in between. Let's say if my main category is 40%, my least category is 10, what's the difference in between the other two? So there are 2 main things that you want to make sure that you focus on when creating your signature for. Number 1, you don't want this to be too broad where anyone and everyone can kind of claim it, right? So I can easily say content or marketing or brand, but these are all very generic topics that anyone in my niche can claim. Versus campaign marketing is a lot more specific to me, and then I can get even more specific with the content ideas that I'm coming up with around this specific category. The other part of this is also making sure you're not getting too narrow to where you're only being able to focus on very specific topics that will last you a month, but then you feel like you're out of ideas. So again, instead of campaign marketing, I wouldn't necessarily choose campaign schedule. This is a little too specific, and sure, I can create a handful of posts around campaign scheduling, but then I'm gonna run out of ideas and I need something a little bit more broad there. And the third part is making sure you find that sweet spot within your signature for, so making sure that you're branding them, titling them in a way that works for you. Not necessarily, again, as a series name. So I wouldn't necessarily say, day in the life of an agency owner, but aesthetic lifestyle does fit into that overall view. You can definitely use other tools like AI to help you brainstorm what that looks like, but think about what are the things you genuinely like to share within these categories. What are content pieces that you've created in the past that fall into these categories that actually align with how you want to create content moving forward? When I have my signature for and I'm sitting down and getting into the content creation process, I'm actually able to sit down and now have some sort of direction in terms of what I need to be thinking about. This means across the month, I know how many content pieces are going to be falling into content category number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, and I have direction. So instead of just staring at a blank screen wondering what should I post, I know that, okay, I need to come up with 5 topics under campaign marketing. What are things that I have been finding recently that I want to give my opinion on when it comes to campaign marketing? Is there anything new that I want to teach my audience about campaign marketing? What are things that are timely and interesting that I'm seeing in my current industry that I can touch on with campaign marketing? And the same applies for any content category you want to give your take on. So we talked about a content calendar, we talked about content categories and building your signature for, and the last thing is making sure that you have an avenue to actually execute what it is that you create. A lot of times we hold ourselves back with the content creation process because we're actually worried about how to implement the caption that we wrote, the idea that we have. So making sure that you have tools, you have teams, you have systems that allow you to create the visuals that you're looking for, the edits that you want, and making sure that you're continuously refreshing that quarterly. So every quarter I put together some sort of creative direction for my content in terms of how I want my content to feel, how I want to design with my content, and this is perfect for you to do every single season. So with combining all 3 things, I now have a systems and plan direction, I now have a strategy direction, and I now have a visual direction so that it can help me create content so much easier, so much faster, and my brain never feels like it's on empty.